Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be listening to some beautiful stories about angels. Like and subscribe.
What's the weirdest thing that ever happened to you that made you think that God was real? And I'm not talking about believing in some kind of universal energy.
My step stool collapsed. I fell, I hit my head on the stove, and I lay paralyzed on the floor. It was the weirdest, freakiest accident that ever happened to me. Have I ever told you this story? Well, here I'm going to tell you right now. So, fast forward, backtrack to 6 months prior to my accident. My late husband, Hector, he got diagnosed with 5 years to live. And it was very devastating to us. We didn't know what to do. So basically, he became disabled and he stayed at home while I still continued with my family business as a commercial cleaning company. Well, now fast forward to 6 months later, the day of my accident, he wanted to come to work with me that day. And I was like, no, he looked really, really sick that day. And I told him, no, stay home, rest, and I'll go and I'll just check on these apartments. He says, no, 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 I want to go. He insisted on going with me. And thank God he did, because we go into the apartment. He goes on his normal little routine because he likes to check the windowsills and mini blinds and all that. So I go straight to the kitchen where I check cabinets and, I look in the stove and make sure everything is done, right? Well, I take the step stool and I put it in front of the stove and I climb up on it. It's only like a 2-ring step stool. I climb on the step stool, and as I reach to open the cabinet, boom, boom, it happened that quickly. I, the step stool collapsed. I hit my head on the stove and I'm on the floor. Apparently, I knocked myself unconscious. When I came to, I could hear him from a distance, like he sounded like he was way away, like in the distance. And he was like, no, oh my God. And I heard him screaming. And I'm like, and as I'm coming to more and more and more, I realized I'm on the floor. Oh my God. And it felt so weird. It felt like my neck and my head was detached from my body. And I was like, okay, something's wrong. And he was like, babe, oh my God. And I remember saying, don't touch me, call an ambulance. Ambulance came, they flipped me over, and that's when the pain hit me on my arms. My arms were so inflamed with pain that the air would touch me, and I was like screaming. So we get in the ambulance, we beeline it to the hospital, and we're stopping at every light. So at this point, Hector thinks that I'm dead because they're like taking their time getting to the hospital. And so by the time we get to the hospital, and I'm telling these guys, like, look, why are y'all going so slow? And I'm crying. And they're like, we're going to get there, ma'am. We're going to get there. But apparently they didn't realize how serious this injury that I just had was. So we get in the hospital. Hector is like losing his mind. He's calling everybody. Constance had an accident. So friends are running up to the hospital. My brother, everybody, my family. And the doctor is talking to me and asking me questions. And I'm telling him, my arms are inflamed, but I can't feel my body. So the doctor runs and gives me a CT scan. So CT scan comes out. Miss Serrano, you're fine. I'm fine. What? Yeah, the CT scan didn't show anything. And I'm like, no, it's impossible. I can't walk. I can't move. Next thing you know, an hour passes and he's giving me my discharge papers like he's kicking me out of the hospital. That's when everybody loses it. Hector start cussing. My friends start cussing. Everybody is losing it out in the reception area, waiting room, whatever. And all of a sudden, while they're all having, this big brawl, next thing you know, they're saying, we're going to call the police, and they're going to throw us out of the hospital. Well, the police walks past my curtain, and I'm like, oh my God, they're about to kick us out. So I immediately like, oh God, God, I just started praying and praying and praying. 2 seconds later, this man comes to my like curtain, where the curtain is. What's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know who this man is, but he didn't have he didn't have no medical attire on, nothing. He goes, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "They're about to throw me at the hospital." And he comes closer. He says, "Do you mind if I, touch your?" You can. He said. He starts touching me, like on my feet, on my leg. Do you feel this? I said, "No, I don't feel anything." But when he touched my arm, I screamed. I was like, "Oh my God!" So he said, "I'll be right back." He made a phone call. He called Dr. Todd Lassner. Dr. Lassner had just laid, now at this point it's 2 in the morning, and Dr. Lassner, he basically just got through with surgery and just got home and laid his head on the pillow. Well, when Dr. Lassner came up to that hospital, the whole floor just went, they got quiet. The doctor who basically was trying to kick us out, his eyes was like this. Dr. Lassner said, "Miss Serrano, what's wrong with you?" And I told him, and I was crying. He says, "Did you guys put her through an MRI?" No, doctor. They didn't put me through an MRI. He says, "Miss Serrano, this is going to be very difficult for you. Have you ever had an MRI?" I said, "No." He said, "I'm going to have, you got to be very still for 45 minutes. And he explained to me, oh my God, it was the most horrendous thing I've ever been through because my arms were inflamed with pain. I came out of that MRI and that doctor cussed the whole floor out. He was like, "She effing broke her neck, you effing idiots." And everybody was like, just scared. And the man that came to see me, I didn't tell you this part. When he was standing in the door, I saw a silhouette around him, like a light. And it was like something was behind him. I know those were my guardian angels because they directed him to my room. He was laying on the couch at 12 midnight and he jumped up and said, "Oh, I forgot to give my colleague a book." He said he usually doesn't come through the emergency room, but that night he came through the emergency room. Okay. He came and saw the commotion and was like, "What is going on in here?" And that's when he asked me. And that's when he made a phone call to that doctor who saved my life. The doctor looked over me when he finished cussing everybody out. He said, "Now, Miss Serrano, what I'm about to tell you is not going to be easy. I can't promise you your life. I cannot promise you. You're so inflamed in your C2 through your C7 is compressed into your spinal cord. I need to do surgery to decompress it off your spinal cord, and then I need to put cadaver bones or your bones or something in between the C3, 4, and 5 because it became bone on bone on bone. That's where I was getting all the pain from." Oh my God, this doctor went in. He said, "Now I'm tired. I need to get some sleep, but I'm going to put you on some really good medication. I'm going to put you in ICU, and in the morning, I'm going to work on you, Miss Serrano. I'm going to do my best to save your life." Oh my God, the next morning, I had that surgery. 10 hours later, when I opened my eyes, I said, "Is this heaven?" Because it was so bright in the room. No, I survived, and that doctor saved my life. So, guardian angels, they've been my friends ever since that day. And I have been relying on them and God, because those are God's messengers, ever since that day. And the reason I'm telling you this is because God is real. His angels are real. We have experienced guardian angels in directing us to each other. And that's when I met my guardian angels. So, what do you think about that?
That's a hell of a story.
And I am here today because of them. And Dr. Todd Lassner, one of the best spinal doctors in the whole world. He saved my life.
So he basically didn't even have a reason to be there. But the book that he forgot to give to a colleague was the catalyst for him to get up out of bed, to run and give it to
But cut through.
But he decided to take a shortcut
Took a shortcut.
through the ER.
Yep.
And he heard the commotion, and that's when he asked you.
Yep. So, guardian angels, I'm going to write a book about
That's
this.
incredible.
Bye, guys.
Tell me a story about a time that you know that you saw something, but you don't ever tell this story because you know that no one would.
Back in 2007, I had to have my first open heart surgery. I was having it at Vanderbilt in Nashville. So my family packed up and all of us went. It wasn't just like mom, dad, siblings. My entire family went. My aunts, my uncles, cousins, grandparents, everybody went to support me because this was a pretty in-depth heart surgery. We get out there, we get preoccupied swimming. It helps my nerves a lot. My nerves was shocked and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I was just trying to ignore everything. So they had the idea, let's all go out to eat. We're going to go out to eat at this buffet restaurant and it will help get her nerves off of stuff at least for a couple of hours. So we get to this restaurant. It was one of those where you walk in and you sit down and then they take your drink order and then you get up and you go and you get your food. So as we're sitting there getting our drink order taken, it was one server. A second server come up and she was probably in her mid-60s, early 70s. She was about 4'1" maybe. She was so tiny. She had white hair, not gray. It was white hair, fair complexion. She was a beautiful older woman. She came up and she laid her hands on me and she's like, is everything okay? If you know me, I don't really talk to anybody unless I'm spoken to. I'm an extremely shy person. And my nerves was already ridden. So I was like, yeah, everything's fine. Well, my grandfather had spoke up and said, you know, she's having a pretty in-depth heart surgery tomorrow, so we have her out here. We're trying to get her mind off of things. And she was like, that is what I thought. Her hand is still on my shoulder. She's like, that is what I thought. I was sent to tell you something. And I was like, okay. And she was like, I was sent to tell you that everything that is going to happen tomorrow is going to be okay. And try to not worry about it. I lost it. I kept my composure until she walked away. I was like, thank you. I lost it. I went out to the car and I cried, and it wasn't like a she overstepped any boundaries cry. It was a that's what I needed to hear. I had prayed about it so much, but I was still so nervous, and it was like a weight off of my shoulder to where I could actually breathe. Hearing it from somebody else other than my immediate family. I ended up not wanting to eat. I just kind of stayed out inside of the car. I was shocked. I don't know. I was emotional. So I didn't go back in. I had been crying. My family comes out after they had paid for the meal. And let's backtrack a little bit. Her name was Angela. She said, my name is Angela. I have been sent to tell you this. Anywho, they come out and they're like, you know, okay, we're going back to the hotel room. And I was like, is Angela still in there? And they said, well, we didn't see her anymore after she had walked off. So I decided that I was going to call back and talk to her. I wanted to let her know that I was super thankful that she come up and she told me this and it was what I wanted to hear, etc., etc. Whenever I called, they said that there was nobody there under the name of Angela that has ever worked at that establishment. And I was like, yes, there was. And I gave them a description of what she looked like. They said that there was nobody there in that age group at all that come close to looking like that. So I asked to talk to the manager. The manager said that there was nobody by that name. They pulled up the pay paper, whatever it's called, everything else. There was nobody there under that name. There was nobody there that fit that description. We turned around and went back because my grandfather's like, I'll turn us around. I'll go in there and I'll find her. She was nowhere to be found. I truly feel like that was an angel, Angela, an angel sent to me that night to tell me exactly what I needed to hear and to answer what I had been praying about. The next morning I woke up. I didn't have any nerve problems at all. Went in, there was some issues with surgery. They was able to figure it out. They was able to get everything under control. But I woke up and I went into surgery not nervous at all because of Angela.
What was the weirdest thing that has ever happened to you that made you believe that God was real? This video has 1.7 million likes. Let's watch.
Yes, God is real, because he teleported an angel into a gas station bathroom to save my life. And I was driving home to Missouri for Christmas, And when I stopped at a gas station in Alabama, I went in to use the bathroom. I sit down to do my business and the faucet turns on. Nobody opened that door. That door did not open. This person appeared in this bathroom. So I did what any sane person would do, and I shoved my head under the stall door to peek out and see what the heck was going on. And what I saw were a pair of grandma orthopedic shoes, and there is a beautiful mixed race woman. She's a grandma, and she has the brightest, most piercing green eyes I have ever seen in my entire life. She says to me, "Young lady, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going home to Missouri to see my family for Christmas." We chatted a minute. I said goodbye, because at this point I'm still freaking out. And she says, "Young lady, I need you to hear me. If you hear anything wrong with your car, you need to pull over immediately. Do you hear me?" I said, "Yeah, okay." She's like, "No, I need you to hear me. If you hear anything go wrong with your car, you need to stop and pull over. Do you understand?" I said, "I understand." I backed out through the door, and I swear to God, I stood there, and that door swung back in, and she was gone. And I stood there for 2 minutes just staring at that door, thinking, what just happened?
Do you believe in earth angels? I just wanted to share something that happened to me years ago, and it has stayed like in my heart ever since. So one day I went to visit the cathedral in Liverpool, one of them. I was going through a really, really hard time. And as I went to walk in the cathedral, there was this homeless guy sitting on the floor, and we made eye contact for just literally a second, and I just had this weirdest feeling, like a soul resonance. I can't explain it. Anyway, I went in the cathedral and I was praying and asking God for guidance, and he just kept coming into my mind, the guy outside, don't know why. Anyway, when I went to leave, I went to walk down the steps outside, and this guy shouted me over. So I walked over and he said to me, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I should be asking you, are you okay?" You know, he was on the floor sitting, like I could tell he was cold, he had nothing, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he said, "No, really, I know you're not okay, and I need to give you a message." And he stood up and we literally hugged each other. I burst out crying, and he said to me, "You're going to be okay, you're being looked after. You don't realise, like, every night when you've been praying, like, I need to let you know they're listening to you." And I was like, why is he being so kind to me, this man? So I said, "Do you want to go for a coffee with me?" There was like a cafe by the cathedral. So we went and we sat and we talked for hours. And it was one of the most enlightening, beautiful experiences I've ever had. And we just hugged each other at the end of it. And he went on his way. Didn't ask for nothing, didn't want nothing. But that has stuck with me forever. And I truly, truly believe that angels come in all forms.
Out in the middle of nowhere, I ran over something in the highway, and I happened to look down at my fuel gauge, and it was going like this. And the fuel was just pouring out on the highway. And then I saw some lights in the rearview mirror, and he pulled in right behind me. I told him what had happened. He said, "I can help, this is what I'm here for." He towed me over to a service station, and there was one little cafe next door to it. Pulls out a set of keys, turns the lights on. Then he repaired my car, and he filled it up with fuel. I said, "How much do I owe you, sir?" He said, "Nothing, that's what I'm here for." The following week, I wanted to stop by there and thank him. The station was closed. The little cafe next door was open. So I walked over there and I said, "Sir, do you know the man that owns this service station?" He said, "Son, that station's been closed for years." I said, "No, sir. Last week, there was a man turned the lights on. He repaired my tank, filled my car up with gas." He said, "Well, it couldn't have happened here. It does not have any fuel in those pumps, and the electricity's been shut off for years." I said, "Lord, what was that all about?" He said, "Do you remember what the man kept saying to you? It's what I'm here for. It's what I'm here for."
Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.